James Dolan wants the New York Knicks to make a trade for a star this summer. That's what Howard Beck of The Ringer reported over the weekend. We'll break that down, as well as react to what Julius Randle had to say as he joined the ESPN broadcast for Game 4 last night of the Boston Celtics win to get to the NBA Finals. He spoke about his injury as well as his future with the New York Knicks. But first, I got to make sure everybody watching today's video is subscribed to New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. We put out free, informative, entertaining videos every single day. So if you want free Knicks vids all year long, subscribe to the channel and help us reach our goal of 50,000 subscribers. We're trying to get there by the NBA draft. We're about 2,000 away. So if you love the Knicks and you're looking for a one-stop shop on YouTube, hit that sub button right now. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm Marshall Green. This is James Dolan, the owner of the New York Knicks. And reports are coming out that reports came out via Howard Beck that James Dolan wants the Knicks to trade for a star. Let's just go right to the quote. Howard Beck of The Ringer says this: "One thing has not changed. However, the Knicks now, as ever, are in a perpetual hunt for another glitzy star. And Dolan, as ever, expects one. That is factual," said a source with ties to the Garden. "The Rose Wesley team promised him stars," the source said. Quote, "He didn't hire them for their experience running a basketball team. Had the Knicks faltered on the court the past 2 years," the person added, "you'd have seen the old Knicks that you've seen the last 24 years. Some heads would have rolled." And boy, oh boy, it is not a New York Knicks summer unless we get some sourced quotes from Jimmy James Dolan and what he wants for the New York Knicks. I'm sure he's not busy at all with his sphere out there in Las Vegas, and he's just so worried about what's happening with the New York Knicks right now. Let's be honest. Leon Rose and Worldwide Wes, they were hired to run the Knicks and to bring them a star to Madison Square Garden. That is true. There is no doubt about that. I know for a fact that is why they got hired. But Dolan is no dummy, and he knows that this is the best spot the New York Knicks have been in since 2000, 1999. This is the best position the Knicks have been in quite some time. And if that means a star, no star, gold jacket, green jacket, I don't give a shit. Whether you have a star or you don't, it doesn't matter. Because you won 50 games, you were the 2 seed, and you were 1 game away from the Eastern Conference Finals with no Randle, no Robinson, no OG, no Bogey. Sure, Howard Beck can come out with a piece from an unnamed source and talk about James Dolan has demanded a star. As long as you win 50 games, Jimmy James is going to be okay. And on top of that, I can't buy a TV that's not for sale. I can't go purchase something that is not on the market. If there is not a star for purchase, if there is not a star that is willing to be moved, if there is not a star that wants to be moved, I cannot go trade for that star. I can't force the Brooklyn Nets at gunpoint to trade me Mikal Bridges. I can't force anybody to make a trade. Let's be honest. And the last thing the Knicks need to do, after doing what they did this year and the year last year to get to this year, the last thing this team needs to do is force a trade. And the only thing they should not do is make a bad trade. Don't force it. Don't make a bad trade. Continue to ride this wave. As long as you got 11, 30, 8, 0, 3, and 55, you're going to go to the playoffs. Build off of that foundation. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and OG Anunoby played in 12 games together this year. They went 11-1. That would be the best record in the NBA. They didn't just beat teams, though. They dominated teams. They made other teams call them Poppy. Of those 11 wins, they won by 18.7 points per game. They absolutely dominated teams. They were the best team in the NBA in the month of January by far. And they didn't just beat up on the Pistons and the Wizards and the Hornets. They dominated some of the most elite teams in the NBA. They beat the Timberwolves by 6 points. They beat Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers by 36. They beat the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, the NBA champs, by 38. And they really put a fork in the Miami Heat, and they beat them by 16. We'll see if they run that team back. Sure, Howard Beck says the Knicks need a star, or he actually says that Dolan expects a star. So who's available? I don't know. I cover this team more than anybody out there. I don't know who's available. I don't really think there's anybody that is. But ESPN, ESPN New York came out with a list of players that they think the Knicks could target. And the first person they had on there is Devin Booker. Are the Suns trading Devin Booker? Why would the Suns trade Devin Booker? I'll give you a reason. He demands a trade. He ain't demanding no trade. They also mentioned Mikal Bridges. Are the Nets trading Bridges? I think that what Joe Tsai said over the weekend, talking about wanting to rebuild, maybe signals a little bit that they want to at least listen to Mikal Bridges' trade offers. But is he going to ship Bridges to the Knicks and end the 41-year trade drought to build the Nova Knicks? Those billionaires, they got pride, man. I don't know about that. Kevin Durant, if you're holding on to Booker, why are you trading KD? The only reason you would trade KD is if you got a star back, one that's ready to compete right now, and you got a lot of draft picks. Knicks could offer that. They absolutely could. But I still don't think that's all that likely. The next trade target that ESPN linked to the Knicks, Joel Embiid. We do not want Joel Embiid. He folds in big games. He's always hurt. And I don't want him on this basketball team. Paul George. That one can make some sense. But he's a little bit of an older player. And he kind of shrunk in the playoffs this year. And he'd probably have to give up a lot. And I think that Julius Randle's better than Paul George right now. So I wouldn't do it. And the last name, of course, you knew ESPN wasn't going to come up with a Knicks trade target article unless it had Donovan Mitchell in there. And if you've watched this show, dating back to 2022, you know I would have done anything for Donovan Mitchell to be a Knick. I've done a complete 180 because we have our lead guard. We have our bucket getter. We have our engine to the offense. In fact, we have two engines to the offense in Randle and Brunson. There's no need for Donovan Mitchell on this team anymore. I don't think a championship team with two 6'1" guards that defend at a subpar level get it done in the modern-day NBA. The only people I would want on this list are Booker, Bridges, and Durant. And I'd say those are all more unlikely than Embiid, Paul George, and Donovan Mitchell. So I'll ask you. So I'm like, seriously, I don't know. Who do you want the Knicks to trade for? Do they need to make a trade? They were 11-1 with the big three. I don't know. It was just January hoops. But it's my job to ask you, so I will. Who do you want the Knicks to trade for? Let me know. Coming up next, Julius Randle spoke on the ESPN. It was like a secondary broadcast. I think I saw Kevin Hart on that show. He was a Sixers fan anyway. What a loser. Julius Randle spoke about his injury, his rehab, and what it would mean to be back with the Knicks next season healthy. That's around the corner. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS, and PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy, where you can win big money and withdraw your winnings. All you do is pick more or pick less. And I'm rolling with a little bit of a cross-play lineup with multiple sports. They do specials all the time. That's why I love PrizePicks. They have slashed the goalie saves for Igor Shesterkin from 29.5 to 25.5. I'm selecting the more on that. That's their Taco Tuesday special of the week. Include that in the lineup with one more pick, and you could 3x your money. I'm going to select the more on Kyrie Irving points. I think he's going to have a big game. I think Dallas closes them out tonight, and they sweep the young Minnesota Timberwolves. And by the way, can we stop comparing Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan? Dude couldn't even beat Germany. What a fraud. That's my lineup. Play it, fade it, do it at PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. And PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app, will match your first deposit up to $100. We'll make sure all that information is clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. Julius Randle was asked about his shoulder injury rehab by Kevin Hart on that secondary Manning-type broadcast that they had on ESPN. I think it was ESPN2 last night, where they brought on a couple of different players. And Randle said this, quote, I spent 2.5 months rehabbing before surgery. So when I came out of surgery, I was recovering pretty fast. All my muscles around my shoulder are strong. So I've been healing up great. Been taking my time. Not in a rush. But I like where I'm at for sure. The one thing I'm always going to respect about Julius Randle is, man, he's going to put in the work. He's going to do what he's got to do to be available for his team to play. And it's an unfair question to ask, but I'm going to ask it because of how hard he works and how motivated I know that he is to get back out there. Can he be ready for game 1? Can he be ready to go in the middle of October? As that's it's May 28th, October 28th. That'd be 5 months. He had surgery about a month ago. Can he be ready to go in 6 months post-surgery? I'm not sure the regular guy could, but Julius Randle, the guy that probably works harder, at least on his body, than anybody else out there, I think he's got a shot. And I think that he knows that he's got something to prove, maybe not about himself, but about that he deserves to be on this team. Because there's been a lot of talk, and he didn't play a lot this year. Let's be honest, and it's the second playoffs in a row he didn't play well or play at all because of injuries. And the Knicks are becoming a new team. There's no more RJ. There's no more Quickly. There's no more Grimes. This is a whole new look team. And I'm sure he wants to prove to himself, his team, and these fans that he could still belong and help this team be better. And that's pretty much what Kevin Hart asked him. He said, what do you think about coming back and joining this squad after they already put everybody on the league on notice? He said, quote, I'm excited, man. I was here when we were winning 15 games. Even though he was never on a Knicks team that won less than 21 games. I feel what you're saying because I was there, Julius. He says, to understand the potential of the team and the opportunity, it motivates me to get to work. He's definitely motivated. And I know for a fact that Julius Randle loves being a Knick. Him and his wife are always going out to Rangers games, taking their son. They're going out to the park. They're going out to eat. They're embracing the fans, embracing the culture. Julius Randle loves being a Knick, and I truly felt like this was going to be the year that Randle was going to have his regular season success translate to the playoffs. It just felt like he was a little bit more locked in, a little bit more focused, a little bit more team-oriented when OG Anunoby got traded to this team. The defensive effort was a little bit higher. Maybe that's because he knew he didn't have to do everything on offense. The fit was better. He even called OG Anunoby a perfect fit after game 1. And I'm sure it was a little bit sad for him to see RJ and Quickly go. Those were two of his younger players. But, man, 11-1. And also the stats got much better for Randle when he played with OG compared to without OG Anunoby. You look at the stats. We've shown this graphic on screen a couple of times now. But the things that stand out to me, more points per game, more assists per game, better field goal percentage, and better three-point percentage. That means the game was easier. The game came to him easier. The shots were easier, and he contributed to winning because we just showed you 11-1, and they beat the brakes off of teams like the Nuggets, like the Timberwolves, like the Heat, and like the Sixers. I'll continue to say this, and I'll continue to stand by it. My take on Randle is this. Am I worried about him having postseason success? Yeah, I am worried, and to be quite frank, if you just blindly think it's going to happen, pass me some of that Kool-Aid that you're sipping on because I need it. But I will always say this, and I will always believe this to my core. If regular season Julius Randle, if 25, 10, and 5, and 45% from the field and 35% from three, if regular season, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA player, if regular season Randle shows up in the playoffs and plays like that guy, the Knicks can win a championship with this roster. They can. But that's a major if, and a big one at that. Hasn't done it yet. I don't need to touch the stove to know it's hot. I already know it's hot. Maybe it's worth rolling the dice one more time. Should the Knicks trade Randle? What do you think? Should the Knicks trade Randle? The opportunity to win is right now. The NBA is so open. It is. Knicks could really, really plant their flag in the Eastern Conference. T for trade, K for keep. Should the Knicks trade for Randle? Let me know. The only way I'm trading Julius Randle is for an upgrade. I have to get an upgrade. Or I have to get someone just as good that may be a better scheme or team fit. I hope we have learned now through 2 seasons, talent doesn't mean more wins always. Fit, chemistry, and play styles meshing work. So we find someone equal that fits better, sure, sign me up. But I ain't just trading him to trade him. I ain't just ditching him to ditch him. I got to get someone that's been an all-star or will be an all-star or could help elevate this team in the playoffs. Make sure you are following me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, @MarshallGreen_. And let's go Knicks!